The Dreamer's Awakening. Luna awoke with a jolt, her heart racing as the fragments of the dream lingered in her mind. The dream had been vivid, more real than anything she had experienced before. It was a world where everything was in constant flux, where shapes and colors collided like abstract paintings, and the air hummed with the sound of creation itself. In her dream, she had felt an incredible power, an ancient, forgotten force, coursing through her veins. The dream seemed like a distant memory now, fading with the dawn, but Luna knew one thing for sure: she wasn't just a mere observer in the dream. She was a creator. She sat up in her bed, her room still dark, save for the faint glow of the morning sun creeping through the curtains. The dream world, though now just a whisper, had felt so real. She could almost taste the energy of it, could still feel the weight of the creation she had unleashed. It had all been a blur, a flickering montage of her hands shaping the world around her, of mountains growing out of the earth and rivers carving through valleys like the fingers of a master sculptor. It was all she had ever wanted, a chance to create, to build something beyond herself, something that would live on. Her fingers brushed the worn pages of her notebook, still filled with sketches and ideas. She had always been an artist, her mind a chaotic swirl of concepts, designs, and inventions. But the dream, it had shown her something else. It had opened her to a world where creation wasn't just an act of imagination. It was a primal force, a force that could transform reality. She stood up, pulling on her robe, and walked to the window, gazing out at the city below. The skyline was a mix of sharp steel and glass, a monument to human ingenuity. But Luna saw beyond the facades. She saw the energy of creation pulsing within everything, waiting to be unlocked. She had been a part of something far greater than herself. And yet, Luna felt something was missing. Her art had always been her escape. She had been painting for years, drawing intricate landscapes and building fantastical creatures that leaped from the page. But nothing she created felt as alive as what she had experienced in that dream. She wanted more. She had to find it. As the sun's rays began to stretch across the city, Luna felt a pull deep within her. There was a path ahead, a trail that led beyond the borders of what she had known. She knew it was time to follow it. Chapter 2: The Quest for the Dream Source. Luna's journey began with a single decision: to leave behind the familiar and search for the source of the dream. She packed her bags with the essentials, her sketchbook, a few changes of clothes, and a map. She didn't know where this path would take her, but she could feel it calling. Her first destination was an old library on the edge of town, a place that had always intrigued her. She had heard whispers of its ancient texts, those that spoke of dreams and the act of creation. Perhaps there, she might find a clue. The library was housed in a stone building with towering columns, an ancient monument that seemed to have been forgotten by time. As Luna entered, the scent of old paper and dust filled the air. The atmosphere was thick with history, the kind that could only be found in places that had witnessed centuries of stories unfold. Luna walked through the labyrinthine halls of the library, searching for any sign of the answers she sought. She came across a section of books dedicated to philosophy and the arts. Her fingers brushed across the worn spines, searching for something specific, something that might unlock the mystery of her dream. Finally, she pulled down a heavy tome, its cover etched with intricate symbols she didn't recognize. The title, in faded gold letters, read, "The Architects of Dreams." The book was older than anything she had ever seen, its pages fragile and yellowed. She carefully opened it, scanning the introduction. In the beginning, there were those who dreamed not only for themselves, but for the world. They held the power to shape reality with their thoughts, their wills, and their creations. These dreamers, as they were called, were the architects of everything that is, was, and ever will be. But their power was not without consequence. Luna's breath caught in her throat. This was what she had felt in the dream. This was the source of her power. A dreamer who lost control could destroy everything, unraveling the world itself. Luna's mind raced. Could it be true? Could she be one of them? Chapter 3: The Awakening. As Luna delved deeper into the book, she discovered that the dreamers were not just figments of myth, they were real, and they still existed, living in the shadows, guarding the knowledge of creation. The book detailed their teachings and their rituals, but there was one thing that stood out: the dreamers could only awaken their full potential if they passed through a trial, a test of their ability to create without fear, without hesitation. The trial was a journey, one that would take the dreamer to the edges of their own soul. The path was treacherous, and only those who were truly ready could survive it. But for Luna, it was the only way to unlock the true power of creation that she had glimpsed in her dream. With the book as her guide, Luna set off once more. She traveled to a remote mountain range, the site of the first dreamer's awakening. The mountains were steep and unforgiving, their jagged peaks reaching toward the heavens like fingers of stone. She had no idea what awaited her, but the pull of her dream was undeniable. After days of climbing, she reached the summit of the highest peak. There, at the edge of a vast cliff, Luna found what she had been searching for: a stone altar ancient and weathered by time. The symbols etched into the stone matched those she had seen in the book. Luna knelt before the altar, closing her eyes and letting the wind whip around her. She could feel the energy rising within her, the power of creation beginning to stir. With every breath, the world around her seemed to shift, as if the very fabric of reality was bending to her will. In that moment, Luna understood. The dream was not just a vision, it was a call to awaken her true potential. She was not just an artist, she was a dreamer, a creator of worlds, a shaper of reality itself. Her hand touched the altar and the energy surged through her, filling her with an indescribable sense of power. The ground beneath her feet trembled as the Chapter 4: The Consequence of Creation. But with the power came a price. As Luna shaped the world around her, she felt a strange unease. The more she created, the more she began to lose herself. Her vision grew more erratic, her thoughts less clear. It was as if the very act of creation was consuming her. The book had warned her of this, of the dangers of losing control. The dreamers who had come before her had created magnificent worlds, but in their hubris, they had destroyed them. They had lost themselves in the act of creation, and their worlds had collapsed into nothingness. Luna could feel herself slipping, the boundaries between her dreams and reality becoming increasingly blurred. She had the power to shape the world, but it came at a cost. The dream was both a blessing and a curse. With a final, desperate cry, Luna focused all of her will on stabilizing the world around her. She fought to retain control, to prevent the unraveling of everything she had built. Slowly, the chaos began to subside. The world she had created settled, becoming solid and real once more. But Luna knew that the journey was far from over. She had awoken to her power, but now she had to learn to wield it wisely, to understand the balance between creation and destruction. She stood at the edge of her new world, looking out at the vast expanse she had shaped with her own hands. It was a world born of dreams, and yet, it was real. It was hers. And in that moment, Luna understood the true meaning of creation. It was not just about making something new, it was about understanding the responsibility that came with it. She had become a dreamer. And with that, she had become the architect of her own fate. And yet, Luna felt something was missing. Her art had always been her escape. She had been painting for years, drawing intricate landscapes and building fantastical creatures that leaped from the page. But nothing she created felt as alive as what she had experienced in that dream. She wanted more. She had to find it.